Welcome, everybody, to tonight's live show here on Strive Education Twitter account. I am joined by some great friends that I have been able to get to know over the last 8+ years in Shanda Hall, who's coming to us from Schuyler, Nebraska, and Rob Goff over in Kearney, Nebraska. And my name is Taylor Siebert with Strive, and we're excited to, as many of you know, launch a new offering for Strive and Strive Education. And we could not do that without these two educators. And so tonight we just wanted to kind of get to know who Shanda and Rob are. If you don't know them already, we can have this. Well, this will be archived and saved so you can get to know them a little bit and really dig down into why schools should be teaching digital media education. As both Rob and Shanda have been teaching this and evolving it and iterating each summer and even maybe within the semester of their curriculum. I think it's really important for administrators and educators who maybe don't have this or do and are looking for a little bit more structure is why this is so important. And they have a lot of great examples from their students, things that they have learned. And so the first question I want to ask you guys, we're going to dive right in. Thank you guys for being on tonight. I know it's a beautiful night here in Nebraska. And so we're going to go about 30 minutes here and wrap this up. You guys can watch the recording and we'll share it out. But share a little bit about how you guys became digital media educators at your school. And let's go ahead and start with Shanda.
Okay, so I actually went to my administration and as a high ability learner program and was kind of diving into let's have a news show. And those were with 6th, 7th, and 8th graders. And then it went over very well. And so administration actually came to me and said, let's make this a class. That was 8 years ago. And so I happened to be in York, Nebraska at a basketball game, and I wanted to see what was going on there. And I stopped and I asked a student, tell me about what's going on here, and immediately went back to my administration the next day. And I said, we must do it this way. This is where the hook's going to be for the kids. And he agreed, thankfully, and here we are. So kind of the short story of where it's at, but definitely, as Taylor said, it has been an evolution from 8 years ago to where we are now. The program that we have now, the curriculum that we have now is not even reminiscent whatsoever of where we were 8 years ago. Thankfully, that's a great thing. But a lot of time in gathering resources, a lot of time in trying things out. The one thing we don't ever seem to have enough of is time. And so just over the course of that time, we found what works and maybe doesn't work so well, refined it to where we have kind of a solid system at middle school level. And now it has merged into our high school. And that's why I'm super excited about what we're about to do here with Strive, is because a lot of that work has been done for you already. And we have some great ideas and maybe some things to not do, and then some things that might work well for you.
Awesome. All right, let's go over to Rob. We're going to switch views here. Switcheroo. Rob, how about you? How did you get into this? I think it's been about 10 years since you first launched your kind of video class and evolved.
Right. I started, this whole thing started off, I was getting my master's degree in instructional technology, and I took a video productions course. And I really liked it, and I created, and my background is English and speech. I did those for the first, 15 years predominantly. And then I said, okay, I like the storytelling that you have with video, as that kind of goes into with the English department that I was in. And so we developed the media productions program at Kearney High School. We did that 10 years ago. We started one class, and literally exactly what Shanda said, what we did 10 years ago is nowhere near what we do now. It has evolved and it's changed. And when I started 10 years ago, when I was looking around, there was no curriculum besides maybe broadcast journalism. And we're like, there are so many different things you can do with video productions and marketing in that regard. That's not broadcast journalism. Broadcast journalism is great, but there's more things that you can do with it. And so, now we've evolved the program at Kearney High School. Now I do nothing but teach media. I teach intro to media or intro to digital media, media productions 1, media productions 2. And then we have an in-house internship, which is Bearcat Vision. And so that's all I teach now. And it's love it and I great. And the program is building. And now we're kind of doing that. Shanda, she kind of started hers in middle school and moving to the high school. Ours is the opposite. We started in high school and it's starting to bleed down into our middle school programs in there. So that's how we got started. And we're in year 10 here at Kearney High.
I love it. Yeah. And that's really why we have brought both of you together, is because of that middle school experience. We know a ton of schools out there that are engaging students in that space, and then in the high school. And you guys are both great examples of that. And Shannon mentioned something really important, the amount of time that you guys have put into this. And we've been hearing since we started Strive, naturally, a lot of schools started a class, but we didn't have anything to offer them. And we heard, don't have a roadmap. We don't have the support, and heard from administrators, where's the curriculum? Where's the curriculum? And finally it clicked 10 years in for me to go, oh, we as in Strive maybe shouldn't be the ones creating it. Let's reach out to our friends and our teachers and collaborate with them to bring this into the classroom. And it was a real light bulb moment for our team and for us to really go, let's serve teachers and let's get them the resources they need. And we've been getting some great feedback. And that's what we want to kind of talk about today a little bit. But I think we need to understand why this is important. And so I'd love, Shanda, for you to kind of share why this is important for your administration and for you to offer a class like this. And I know you have some great stories. If you can kind of share a little bit of the fruits of the labor that you've put into this from the student perspective, and what you've learned is why this is so important for students to learn these skills.
Absolutely. So I think a lot of us, and my background is also English, understand the reading, writing, speaking, listening. That is what every type and every core English class has. And the cool thing about digital media is it just takes those 4 components and makes it into kind of a different modality. Not that I want to use the word update necessarily, but it's so hands-on, and it is still those same modalities that we talk about, the same skills we're teaching, it just in a different way. And so when we talk about how we can reach different types of students and different kids, we have to be thinking about not your A+ kids, but every student. And we all know that. Any quality teacher knows that. And sometimes certain school districts have more challenges than others. And Schuyler happens to be one of those school districts that has a lot of challenges as far as English language acquisition. And so I actually have my ELL endorsement, and I got that several years ago. But one of the things that we've discovered is that we can take some kids who maybe are learning English and or have limited English abilities, and through our digital media classes are being very, very successful. Students who maybe come in 4th grade or 5th grade or even 6th or 7th grade with limited English abilities, that by the time they are graduating from high school are doing color commentary or play-by-play for us on Strive, doing PA work in the gyms, and or just even comfortable enough to speak up in class. And I'm seeing that over and over, that some of our even quieter kids or shyer kids are finding who they are and finding their voice through our digital media classes. And so those are kind of some huge successes when I see a very shy 6th grader come in who, by the time they're in 8th grade, are pretty eloquent speakers and know how to formulate what they want to say and communicate effectively. And again, it's just a communications class. Honestly, it's been more of an English class than it has been digital media, but we are now moving more into the digital side so that it fits what we're doing in Strive. And I said, it's kind of funny that we're working on curriculum things, because so little of what I've done is actually focused on the Strive side or the streaming side of things. It has been digital media and communication. And so
it took me a while to figure that out. I'm a slow learner to figure out, hey, we should be offering this to schools in addition to the streaming, and not try to pick one or the other. So, right. And one of the things I want to bring out to you real quick, Shanda, and you can comment on this, is the consistency of those students over from 7 years ago to the group you just had this quarter. They're learning the same things, right? Even though technology has changed at the core of it, the students are learning essentially those same skills, which is timeless and marketable for them when they go into high school and then even beyond in career or college.
And that's, I think, the most important thing to remember is this is not about what equipment you have. This is not about any of that. This is about a skills-based class. This is the strategies we use to communicate and how it can be done to send a message out into the world through digital media. they already are doing that. So why not give the kids maybe a little bit of training on how to do it effectively, how to do it efficiently, and not just, oh, cool, I'm taking in all this content all the time. Why am I not creating it? Well, part of the reason they don't is because when they start to create, it's a mess. Everybody thinks they're a TikTok fan or TikTok amazing person, and they just don't have that skill base to know what quality looks like. And so that's how we're evolving what we're doing. And it matters to them because that's the world they're living in.
Yeah. And Rob, I want you to kind of answer the same question. And before that, one of the things I've been telling a lot of teachers about what you guys have developed with essentially with Strive Education, we're offering Rob and Shanda's introduction to digital media curriculum. Right. And that's what we're starting with. And I'm a sports guy. And as teaching youth basketball, I kind of correlated with that you have to, before you can be a TikTok star or YouTube mogul, whatever it is, you have to have the foundations. You have to build the base, and you have to learn how to dribble, and you have to learn how to shoot, and you have to learn how to pass before you can go to the NBA. And so we need to think about that in all classes in their education, and digital media is no different than that. We just haven't had a textbook, and you guys have created that. But what are some of the successes and why, if you're talking to a principal right now or a media teacher at the high school level, Rob, what's your why?
Well, my why is, when it kind of piggyback on what Shanda says, it's a real world environment now. And when I talk to people here, and they always ask me, what do you do in your classes? And some, jokingly, they always say, oh, you go on and make fun videos. Well, yeah, we do that. There's nothing wrong with a good little TikTok because it gets kids engaged. And I saw like our baseball team with that state did a short little TikTok, and it gets them engaged and kids see that. But then I said, okay, that's a good thing, but let's take a different side. And I would say, let's look at the marketing side, because in video production, you want to market to a product and say your product is your high school or your basketball team or your FFA program. Now, how can you get students into that program? And the day and age has changed now. Kids look at their phones. They see Instagram. They see the TikToks. So how can you make a really good one that can generate excitement? And then I also show my kids, I have statistics in a study that found out that for businesses, if you want to, I say this, the example I say is, if you're looking for a plumber in Kearney, there's plenty of them. And people Google, okay? And if you're not in that first page of a plumber's in Kearney, you're not going to get found. Well, research have found that the Google algorithm finds that people with embedded videos or links to videos that they've created, it ranks higher in the Google search. So that's what we tell businesses, say, hey, if we create a video for you, then you'll get more business. And that's marketing. So it's a real world experience, a trade that they don't need to go to college to learn this. They need a computer and some seat time and play and learn and fail a little bit. But this is not just making cute, funny videos on TikToks. I mean, these are students that can go right out of 18, 19 years age and make a living. But show them the right way to do it. Now we teach marketing techniques. We teach appeals, your logos, ethos, and pathos. How do you create a good commercial, a good video to market to this product? And that's why I market my administration. And then we do hype videos for our video boards. There's a lot of different things you can do with video. And that's why I tell them my administration, that's kind of the angle we go to. And that's why my kind of curriculum is based on that.
Shanda, let's talk about that. Go ahead if you want to respond. Yep.
If I can piggyback on that too. One of the other things I think is super, super important is we're having lots of issues with kids with digital media and copyright free and just that digital citizenship piece. And this is such a great way to incorporate all of those things, that you just don't go on to Google and steal somebody's music. Like you have to be watching Creative Commons licenses. And local library media specialists, which I'm also that, know this. We teach this. But it's state law at K-12. You have to teach digital citizenship across curriculum, not just in one area. And so this is a great way to feed into exactly what's already in place and to basically kind of reinforce what core class teachers are doing.
Yeah.
By saying this is how we teach digital citizenship and the production side of things and the steps that you take. So thanks. I just wanted to piggyback on that real quick.
Yeah.
And I
You
think
know,
that's really important. Go ahead, Rob.
No, I said here, you know, whether we like it or not, we're looking at our phones, and you know, Taylor, you have statistics of how much time people spend on their phones or on their computers, and it's good or bad, we don't know, but that's the reality. So what can we do to create content or have these content creators, because they're coming out there and it's getting bigger and bigger. It's a field that's just growing. So it means schools need to understand that, you know, this is a service that we can offer kids. Woods classes were great. That's a creative class that some students need. Welding class, creative class, some students need. But digital media, there's a group of students out there that are creative, and they're there. And if you don't believe it, you know, go to Skylar or come to Kearney. You know, how many kids are in and create? They want to make, they want to, you know, they want to do things. They want to, you know, it's kind of like we need to work with our hands. Well, that's these kids are doing. They're creating, and we need that.
Absolutely. What is kind of shifting a little bit here as we're kind of halfway through this? What do you say to an administrator that really is kind of, they can't wrap their heads around maybe a class like this because of grades and how you're going to assess students on that? And
Yeah.
Shanda's laughing already. What does that look like in your guys' curriculum, and how have you guys worked together with your admin? Because I think that's really important. It's not you're not butting heads. You really worked hard and worked together. And Rob, you've actually helped develop the new state standards around a lot of this. And I think that's important in the state of Nebraska, at least.
Yeah.
But why don't you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, you know, and they've asked me, you know, of course, how you go into grading and what you do. And it is like English, it's subjective, but over time I've developed rubrics, and I tell the kids what we're looking for. And I've kind of broken a lot of things down for my classes is very formative assessments. And then of course, then to build onto a summative assessment. And, you know, okay, here's certain things we're looking for. You know, in our intro to media class, one of the first things we talk about graphics. It's okay. Show me, you know, how to use layers and colors. And it's a simple thing. Now, do you show it to me? I walk around the grade book. Good. Check, check, check. It's off. It's kind of like standards-based grading. Do it or you didn't do it. And this nice thing is, if they don't get it, then let's do it until you do get it. And you can work with students. You can walk around, and when they get it, okay, you check it off. And then you can do a couple of those formative assessments, and they build up to a summative in, like, say, graphics, or a summative so in video production. And that's what I've, you know, Shanda has, and I've had conversations with her, and I've developed through the years as these small little projects, and talking to other people around the state and the country, is I've gotten ideas from them too. What are small projects that we can create that help build like a summative? And even some of them, and actually even not educators, we've also talked to business people. You know, people who work in the video production industry.
Right.
And they say, no, teach this skill. This is, if I want to hire someone out of high school, I really want them to know how to frame a shot. And I really want them to know how to work a camera. These are people that are professionals. They're doing it, and they're telling me what they want my kids to learn. And so I could teach them, and they get hired right away. I mean, they're literally, you don't need to go to college. And so that's what we worked on. That's what this curriculum's kind of helped people out is, what are the small little things that they said, Shannon and I, we've made a lot of mistakes, and we want to help you.
That's a whole nother live stream. That's actually the next one.
That's
the top 10 mistakes.
Yeah. Big list.
Only
then
10
people are going to sign up.
Only 10. Yeah,
10. We'll limit it to 10 each.
Oh, that'd be tough.
How about you, Shanda? What is the grading and assessment portion look like for you at Schuyler Middle School?
Also rubrics. That has been huge. We are a school who uses Marzano, and so we have our 4-3-2-1. But that doesn't necessarily correlate with the rubrics. It just gives the kids the target of where they're going for and how to maybe exceed that. And again, because our program started as a high ability program, I always kind of keep that in mind too. How do we hit all levels of kids? How do we differentiate within the class? So definitely rubrics have been huge. I've done contracts where the kids contract their grade. If you're willing to do X, Y, and Z, this is the grade you're contracting. If you're willing to do a little bit more than that, this is the grade you're contracting. And I'll always let them contract up, but I won't ever let them contract down. So that is something that we've done, but definitely the conversation that I had with my administration, why I kind of chuckled before about how do you grade this class? And I said, just like any other class, it's still an English class at heart. It's still, you're writing your scripts when you're getting ready to do your projects. And it doesn't matter all the little projects that we do. If we're working on framing, we're working on rule of thirds, we're working on different types of angles, it's taught and it's assessed by, did they do what was asked of them? And if they don't love their grade, I give them the opportunity to go back and do it over again. We all collaborate. We all do that in the real world, in the professional world. If I am given, and the feedback is what's the most important thing, is that the kids now, and again, I'm not trying to differentiate between kids from 5 or 10 years ago, but honestly are used to immediate feedback for everything. So if they hand in a project, I do a lot of grading at night. I really do. But then the next day or even that night, I'm giving them feedback, and I cannot tell you how many kids are in here at 7:45 in the morning and said, if I fix it, can I get the next grade? Because they're eager to want to do better and do more. And I said, absolutely.
That's amazing.
Absolutely fix it. Why would I not give you that opportunity to make your project better?
Right.
So that's been a huge thing. And then one thing I did want to mention too, that we said a little while ago, we talk about why are we doing this? If you don't tell your story, somebody else is going to tell it for you, and it may not be accurate. And that was something that caught my eye with Strive years ago, was helping schools tell their stories. And it happened to be with the streaming part. I think that's even more of a valuable message now, because there are so many different ways to tell your school's story. And with the amount of social media that other people put out, why don't we put out our own that's stronger and to the point and is accurate?
And getting students involved, right? That's been 100%. Something we've always been a champion of, and everything that we've done. And that's why you guys are sitting here as well, is because you guys understand that. It's hard to get students involved and give them ownership, Rob, right? How do you, to kind of wrap things up the last 7 minutes, why do you think it's important to empower students through digital media as opposed to, not? What does that look like for you? Why is that so important to empower them through this new type of, I view this as a new way to educate students because it is so hands-on. This is different. They do want the instant feedback because that's what they're used to, and they're able to get that, which engages them, which then in turn empowers them.
That's what we want to try to empower students. It's a new form of creativity out there, and we want to get in the hands of students. And they're gratified. They want to see things. It's like any student else. I know my students, they love. We have video boards at our school, and they're becoming more and more popular. And my higher level class, they keep saying, "Hey, if I make this, can I get it run on a video board?" And there might be a huge game, And I was like, well,
there's a little competition there.
And it is competition. And they're like, I want to be chosen. I was like, well, just because, they said this one person doesn't mean you can't do it. And that's what they like to do. And they love to see it, say, hey, can I post my stuff? They're very proud of it. And then, kind of go back to the grading. When you build a program like that and the there it is back. There we are. They were back here. The grades kind of take care of themselves because the students sit there and they're like, they just want to make it better. They're their biggest critics. If things aren't going right, they're like, I want to do better. I want to get this right. So, and then we always walk by, hey, how about this? And think about this. And what are you doing this one? So they always do look at that, how to make it better. But they love seeing their stuff posted, but they want to make sure it's right before we post it. I mean, they're hard on themselves. That's good. Self-criticism is great.
I think this popped in my head, and I have to say it because I love, this is why I love these conversations, because we have talked so much, right? but these little nuggets to come out. And what you just said there, they want to see their work out in the world. I just thought
big
of
time.
a math test, right? Isn't public.
No,
You don't post your math test and what you got as a grade out there, but your video and your graphic and that motivates students to want to continue to get better. Sometimes that can be negative, but most of the time, if you frame it right and you guys are teaching it right, which you are, that can be a really huge positive for a student. And we've seen that, with students like Dante and Colin and all the students, Shanda, that you've impacted.
right.
They know what's happening, and it feels different than a math or science test. And that's not a knock on math and science. I was horrible at both of those. But if I would have had the chance to create a video in school and getting a grade for that, I would have tried way harder than I would have on my math test, because it interests me. And that's what's happening in your guys' classes. That's why it's so important.
Yeah, it's just different, and here the example I have, that one is, we had the biggest game of the year when we played Grand Island here, and we knew it was going to be packed house. Kearney Grand Island's a great rivalry, and we knew it was going to be packed. And the kids taught who they want their video to be seen, because they know it's going to be seen by a lot of people, and the lights get turned off, and just it builds the environment, and it just changes things. And the kids take it right. I mean, it's funny, they're almost like nervous when their video comes up. They're like, is it going to look good? How's the audience going to react to it? And so, I mean, that's a great life lesson. And it's, and of course we make sure that we're going to set them up to succeed, but
right.
They take a lot of pride in creating just things like that. And then, we just had a PSA contest, and the kids made a great PSA contest, and that was wonderful. There's so many things you can do with digital media. It's let your imagination be your guide. And then we can help you, we can help Shanda, myself, Taylor. We can help you tailor the education that fits your school. Because what works for Kearney doesn't work for Skylar, and it may not work for your school, but we can help you, because we've done it all and we've heard it all. So
how about you, Shanda, as far as empowering students and the impact that's had for you?
Okay, you're cutting out a little bit on me. Sorry.
Empowering students, if that didn't come through. Kind of piggyback off of Rob.
Okay, thanks. So definitely giving kids who maybe don't have certain talents in other areas, find it with this, because it is so hands-on. It's a different way of doing the same skill that they would do in another class, but because there's so much creativity involved, and I give them the ownership, and I've said, we're only as good as all of you. This isn't about me. This is about you, and 100% on you. So when something goes wrong, I don't swoop in and try to save them. It's definitely a figure it out. How can you help each other? So that collaborative work area is very real in our classroom. But because of that, it is in their hands, and they are empowered, because they know I'm not going to rescue them. Like, I'll give you some hints and tips and coach you, but the real work has to be done by them. And when they realize that's really how it is, that's not just talking it, that's what really happens, then it becomes valuable. And when they are seeing the skills transfer, not just in class, but also to our streams on Friday nights, and they see that the first week of school, we've been in school for 4 days, and now we have to go do a broadcast. Yes, that's what happens. So, and I trust them to do that. I mean, I'm right there guiding them, but I trust them to do that. And the ownership is huge. I will never knock any other class by any means, because I've taught all of those classes. But I've just found in this particular one, those kids who just really latch onto it, and it becomes their thing. And they may not be the athlete, but they love sports, like talking about sports. Or they may not be the strongest science student, but they are fantastic with audio.
Yes.
And that's the other part, is there are so many different pathways within digital media that a kid can grasp onto. There are students who are way better at Photoshop than I am, and they're 14. And I'm okay with that.
You're right.
I love it when kids teach me something new. That's awesome. I mean, it's awesome. I love it. And then when you get them started, they do those things. And, you know, and also people worry about what technology. I mean, the things you can do with your smartphone. And, you know, many schools have Adobe schools now, or maybe this iMovie. I mean, you can do the basics. You know, I think, Shannon, you could use a lot with iPads. And just your smartphone has a great camera. You know, just to get started, you don't need a whole lot to get started. We just got to give the kids a chance. And as you said, there's so much creativity. These kids, they're making videos and graphics now. Let's now teach them how to do it in an organized way that's actually productive in society. You know, that you can get a job and a trait for, that people can make money off this, you know, and there's a skill to be had in this, and jobs to be created in this, not just making fun TikTok videos.
Absolutely. And it's just the beginning. And this is the beginning of a series of videos where we're going to be talking with Rob and Chanda throughout the summer. I've got to cut you guys off. It's a beautiful night. Shanda's at school, so we need to get Shanda home because she's been gone all day, and she's catching up and doing last minute grading, not last minute, but end of school grading, I'm sure. Rob's got to watch some soccer, and I'm going to head to the Ball Diamonds. But we thank you so much for joining us here. If you're watching the recording or you watch live, this was just a sliver of the amount of amazingness that you're going to get from Rob and Shanda and the curriculum that is going to be a part of Strive Education. So you guys can go and learn more and get early access at strive.education. You can go and hit the Get Early Access button if you're interested, or contact us, and I can show you guys. Both of them have provided their unit guides. We talked about copyright. Both of their curriculums include a whole unit on copyright and, you know, media literacy and all of that, so that students understand digital citizenship inside of their introduction to digital media curriculum. And that's what you're getting. In addition to that, you're also getting a community of digital media educators, which is growing as we add more teachers into that, and sharing, you know, different classroom project ideas, different things that they're doing. Our team is in there. So Dante's going to be sharing stuff, who's our creative director. Eric Allgood's going to be in there. And we just look forward to continuing to grow the courses and the curriculum that is offered, and that we get feedback. Both Rob and Shanda both mentioned that, you know, they know what works at their school. What we're really excited about is getting feedback from you as teachers who put it into your classroom and get that feedback, and we can continue to improve it and allow your students to be empowered through digital media education. So thank you, Rob and Shanda. Have a great evening and finish the school year strong. Thanks to everybody for watching, and hopefully you can catch the recording of this, and stay tuned for our next live event here in a couple weeks as we talk about, you know, what actually is included in the curriculum, and we'll really break that down for you next time. So have a great night, everybody. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.